Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's Thursday with AARP Wisconsin show. I am Amber Miller, your host, and before we get to our special guest today, just a couple friendly reminders. If you're looking for all information related to AARP Wisconsin, including upcoming events, both in person or virtual, along with volunteer opportunities, all things advocacy, fraud watch, outreach. You can find all of that information at the AARP Wisconsin website below, which is aarp.org/WI. Also, I think we're all aware that this is an election year. So if you're looking for up-to-date information, all things related to election, there are two ways that you can connect with AARP Wisconsin. So the first thing you could do is text WI votes, so WIVOTES to 22777. And when you do that, you're going to get a link back from AARP for you to confirm that you have signed up for the text messages. And then it's going to take you right to our AARP Wisconsin website, specifically to the election information page, and you'll find a slew of just great information there, which we'll probably talk with our guest today about. And if you are just like wanting to look at it from your desktop or your laptop, you can go to the aarp.org/WI votes website for, once again, up-to-date information. So if you're like, I didn't know there was an election, there's information there. If you want information on your polling place, there's information there. So we definitely encourage you to take a look at that at your leisure. We're also looking for great volunteers to join the AARP family. So if you're interested in volunteering with us, whether it is in person, virtually, throughout the whole state of Wisconsin, we encourage you to go to the website below, which is aarp.com/I12, so the number 2 volunteer. And when you go there, it's going to be information about the volunteer opportunities and also an opportunity for you to fill out an application. And when you fill out that application, it comes directly to our office, and one of our staff members will be in contact with you. So once again, if you're interested in joining our volunteer family, we definitely encourage you to visit the website below. So today's guest, we're waiting for her. There's just a little technical difficulties. I see her coming back on, but that's okay. We do have some amazing workshops coming up, both in person and virtual. So if you haven't been on the AARP Wisconsin website in a while, I definitely encourage you to do so. There's definitely opportunities for you to engage with AARP staff and volunteers. So I believe our guest is back on. So we always love to have Miss Lisa Lampkins with the AARP Advocacy team. She's going to be joining us today to talk all things like we like to call advocacy potpourri. So that's just an array of amazing, awesome things. So thank you so much for joining us, Lisa.
Hey, Amber, I'm really happy to be here. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you. I will say the screen is a little, I can't think of the word, freezing up a little bit, but we can hear you. Sound great, Lisa. So thank you so much. So Lisa, we always enjoy having you on the show because you just bring such really great information on an array of things. So that's why we thought it'd be great to have you on the show today. So we know, and of course it's in the news quite a bit, that the Wisconsin Elections Commission issued some new guidance to election clerks about assistance with returning those absentee ballots. Can you talk a little bit about what that new guidance is?
Sure. Well, I'm happy to. And I think, one of the things that's important is we're seeing and we're getting questions from our members and from other people that there's some confusion around what's happening in Wisconsin. While we don't have any new election laws, we will have some changes to the practices and the procedures around elections because of some court decisions. And of course, I think everybody is aware of the decision from earlier this summer that outlawed absentee ballot boxes, right? We got used to going to the local community center or the library and being able to put your absentee ballot in a drop box that was in a different location. So that has changed, and that was a decision by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And sort of an outgrowth of that was, okay, if you can't put your absentee ballot in a drop box, then, where does it go and how can you deliver it to a clerk? Mm-hmm. And the strict reading of the statutes in Wisconsin basically said only the elector can return their ballot, meaning I could be the only one who could put my absentee ballot in the mailbox, or I could be the only one who could drive my absentee ballot to the clerk's office. And that might be fine for some people. Unfortunately, what that does is really leave out people with disabilities and older people with mobility issues and sight issues and hearing issues. And so some people with disabilities sued. Another judge came and said, hey, you guys can't do this. Under the Voting Rights Act, you have to provide assistance. And the judge said, Wisconsin Elections Commission, we need you to clarify all this. Put some guidance out. So yesterday, the Wisconsin Elections Commission sent guidance to all of the local clerks in Wisconsin to basically say, if there is someone who, requires assistance in returning their ballots because of a disability, then they can get the assistance they need from a person of their choosing. Now, here's the important thing and what it means for older people is while the language says it's basically it's a person who requires assistance because of a disability. And under the Americans with Disabilities Act, that covers people who need help with certain, activities. Mm-hmm. So for someone who has mobility problems, or maybe who has vision or hearing problems or other health issues related to aging, and you require assistance returning your ballot, you can get that assistance. The big thing is you are the one who identifies whether or not you have a disability. You don't have to have a doctor's note. You don't have to certify anything. You can decide, you know what, I'm using a walker and I cannot get to the mailbox, and so I need somebody to return this. So that is really important. It also said that a voter can pick whoever they want to return that ballot. There had been some discussion about could it only be a family member, but if you need to help out your neighbor next door who is homebound, you can do that. So we're really pleased because it takes away some barriers to voting.
And Lisa, I do have to say, when you're on the show, the information when it comes related to absentee voting in general, it changes a lot. And that's why we'd love to have you on the show, because you bring the most up-to-date information, because I also saw that in the news yesterday. So I'm glad that you talked about that. And we know that, AARP not only makes sure that people know the voting process, which we do an amazing job of, but also make sure that candidates know the issue that are important to our 50 plus older voters. Can you talk can you talk more about that, and especially what the topics would be?
Yeah, we really are making sure that candidates know how important older voters are. We always like to say that voters 50 plus really are going to decide the election. They are the deciders. And I think that one of the key issues could very well be Social Security this time around. It's always a top issue for older voters, but we're really hearing from people, especially in this time of inflation, that they really more than ever are depending on Social Security and that reliable, guaranteed, earned benefit that people get. And so, I think folks are looking for candidates who want to protect Social Security and strengthen it for the future. So, we're encouraging folks to ask the candidates questions, find out where they stand. You can ask them a simple question. Hey, if you're elected, what would you do to protect and strengthen Social Security? And then listen to their answers and evaluate whether or not, that's how you think Social Security would fare the best. Certainly also healthcare and Medicare is another key issue. The Medicare program has a little bit of funding challenges in the hospital portion of it. And so again, asking candidates, how are they going to strengthen and protect Medicare? We know related to that, the high cost of prescription drugs continues to be an issue. And even though there's amazing, changes coming once the Inflation Reduction Act gets rolled out in its entirety, where people will see savings on their prescription drugs. Remember, that only applies at the federal level. And it doesn't apply to everyone. It helps people on Medicare in many ways, but it doesn't help those folks who aren't on Medicare. So it is certainly worth asking candidates, what are you going to do to help bring down prescription drug prices? And those are, I think, the top things that we hear from our members that they care about right now.
And if you are joining us today, we're talking to Lisa Lampkins with the AARP Wisconsin Advocacy team, talking all things advocacy. So if you have a question or comment for Lisa, we invite you to post them below and we will get to them very shortly. So Lisa, I know that AARP also has a new way to engage voters. I'm very excited that you're going to be talking about this to get the attention of the candidates. It's an effort called In My Shoes. And if you could just tell us a little bit about how that came about and how can people get involved?
Yeah, well, it's really cool, actually. So a while back, AARP did some focus groups with older women voters. And they're just kind of trying to find out, what's on the mind of older women voters. And what really came out of that was a common thread of thinking, elected officials and candidates are not paying attention to me. They don't know what my daily life is like. One of the women said, hey, I would like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell to come and help me give my father-in-law a bath, because that's what my day is like. So we really heard from people about their daily struggles. And we know, that's what so many people are doing, and they're doing it silently and just basically taking care of their families. But it's hard. And their folks are really feeling like elected officials and candidates are disconnected from that reality. So we thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could, tell candidates, hey, come walk in my shoes for a little bit and see what my day is like. And so we are offering AARP members around Wisconsin, and anybody, actually, it doesn't have to be AARP members, because I think a lot of people feel disconnected from that. So anyone can share sort of, what their day is like. What is your life like? If you could tell the candidates one thing about your life, and if they were walking in your shoes, what would that be? And so we're going to be at several events around the state, and we'll have some forms there where people can, fill out, share their story. We have a cool selfie frame where we can actually take pictures of people's shoes, which I know seems kind of weird, but, it's a good visual. Yeah. And of course, anybody can get involved by going to the website. Just go to that aarp.org/inmyshoes and let us know, what's one thing you would tell a candidate for the U.S. Senate race? What's one thing you would tell a candidate for the governor's race? We will compile all of that, and then we will tell those candidates. We will let them know what we have heard from people across Wisconsin.
And Lisa, I think I love this kind of new initiative because I definitely, in the time that I've worked at AARP, we hear all the input from members and non-members, and what a great creative way to make your voice be heard. So we definitely encourage you to go to the aarp.org/inmyshoes. And if you have any questions, of course, reach back out to the state office. And Lisa, you kind of briefly almost started talking about this. It's the election year. You are going to be doing so many things around the state. If you want to maybe plug some of those, maybe talk about some of those, it's really fun and interesting things that I think a lot of people can get involved with.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to, Amber. Yes, we have an AARP voter van that we are going to take around the state, visiting various communities and doing a couple of different events. I'll just lead off. The very first two events are going to be on September 20th. In the morning, we're going to have a coffee chat in Eau Claire, where we'll invite AARP members and others to the Acoustic Cafe in Eau Claire, and to come on down, and we'll be there with the In My Shoes display, so you can come and share your story with us in Eau Claire. We'll be there the morning again of September 20th. And then that evening of September 20th, we're headed to La Crosse for an AARP on Tap event. And these are fun. It's an evening event, starts at 5:30. It's a trivia activity. We have a drink and appetizers, and we'll also have the In My Shoes display there as well. So we're starting off there, and then we're going all over the place. Milwaukee, Minocqua, Ashland, Kenosha, Oshkosh, Green Bay, Sun Prairie, Wauwatosa, and I'm certain a few other places that I have forgotten as well. So I encourage folks to watch the AARP Wisconsin Facebook page, check out the AARP Wisconsin website, where there to be calendar events, and all the information that you need to register.
And Lisa, I always encourage our viewers. They're probably like, Amber, please quit talking about it. But our AARP Wisconsin events calendar is updated, I feel like, daily. It not only has Wisconsin events, it also has some of the national events. So all these things that Lisa is talking about, if you're like, wow, I'm in Green Bay, I could go to that, or I'm in La Crosse, please make sure, as Lisa said, to go to our AARP Wisconsin website, or keep an eye out if you're watching us on Facebook, or if you happen to be a follower of us on Facebook, as all that information is going to be there. And Lisa, for the upcoming events, are most of them pre-register, or?
Yeah, the on tap events are pre-registered, okay. Primarily because we're going to have appetizers and a free drink for everyone, and we just want to make sure that we have enough food for everybody. But we'd love to have folks, come down. So yeah, definitely check out the events page for La Crosse, and get registered.
And Lisa, I also know, we love our volunteers, but I also know the advocacy team is looking for volunteers. Maybe if you could talk, and I apologize, I'll come to Jim's question next. If you could talk just a little bit about what you guys are in need of for volunteers, especially in certain parts of the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we've just brought on a new terrific crew of some new volunteers helping us out with some election efforts. And so we need people everywhere. We especially could certainly use some folks from up north. That's always a challenge because there's a lot of great opportunity and things to do there. And we'd love to have people in more communities. And so far, we've had volunteers do things like sending weekly emails to the candidates, both to the candidates for the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House, along with candidates for governor and the state legislature. Every week, these volunteers send an email about a new issue and asking for responses from the candidates. Mm-hmm. We've also had volunteers are working on postcard parties, and they're just about to do some postcard writing at home. We're sending out postcard kits so that volunteers can write out postcards, and they'll get sent to AARP members around the state with a little bit of a personal touch.
Definitely.
The more the merrier. Advocacy volunteering is fun, and we'd love to have people. And we'll have volunteers help out at each of these events as well.
Great. And Lisa, I know you have that lingering cough, so thank you. I know you're hanging in there. So yeah, if you want to volunteer, we always plug volunteering, but advocacy definitely would love the additional support. So once again, you can go to the website or to the regular AARP website. And producer Darren, if you would be so kind to pull up Jim's question, and we'll go ahead and ask Lisa that. So Jim is asking, what are the top election issues that you are hearing from your members so far during this election season? And I know you kind of touched it base broadly, but if there's any that kind of stick out.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're hearing about the most really is the issue of Social Security. And I think, we know federal candidates, the candidates for Congress always talk a little bit about Social Security. It has certainly been a little bit more in the news. And, like I mentioned before, people are really feeling how important Social Security is to their daily lives. And so I think, our older voters are looking for candidates, who are going to share what their position is. What do they think should happen with Social Security? How are they going to make sure that Social Security's benefits are there? Folks have paid into Social Security all of their working lives, and they're entitled to those benefits. And I think, for us right now, that happens to be a really big thing that we're hearing about.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim, for that question. Lisa, my last question is, if our viewers who, once again, I always encourage them to share this video with their network or on their social media, where is the best website then for them to go to find all information on everything that you chatted about today?
So I think a great amount of this is posted at the aarp.org/WI votes. And I think we're also going to get a lot of this information posted just at our general Wisconsin website, which is just aarp.org/WI. We'll have some links. So if you can at least get to the AARP Wisconsin general website at aarp.org/WI, you'll be able to find all of this information there.
Great. Lisa, as always a joy to have you. And also, too, for our viewers, we'd love to post pictures. So if you're like, wow, I can't maybe make it to that event, definitely also check back on our Facebook and Twitter and all social media, as there will be pictures posted, as we love to tell the story of all the impact that we're doing around the state. Lisa, thank you so much. And we appreciate you being here and look forward to having you back on the show very soon.
Thank you so much, Amber.
Thank you, my dear. And as always, we like to highlight some upcoming events that might be of interest to you. So today, Supercharge Your Job Search Networking and Interview Skills. This is a virtual seminar I will be co-hosting or co-facilitating. There still is time to register. This Friday, September 9th, Movies for Grown-Ups. I'll see. Tuesday, September 13th, key questions to ask about Medicare initial enrollment. I will also be co-facilitating that. Once again, these are both virtual. Wednesday, September 14th, Fraud Watch Wednesdays. And of course, if you are in La Crosse on Tuesday, September 20th, we'd love to see you at the AARP on tap. And as Lisa said, there are some light hors d'oeuvres and a beverage, which always sounds like a really good time. So you could go to the website or call the phone number below to register. Small Dollar Big Impact, of course, is a monthly grant that AARP Wisconsin awards to local communities. nonprofits, municipalities, and similar. So if you have a really fun, cool, creative, out-of-the-box idea that you would like to try within your community for up to $1,000, we invite you to apply to the next grant. Applications are due Tuesday, September 20th, and it's a pretty short application, so there's definitely is still additional time for you to do that. You could go to the website below, which is aarp.org/WISDBI, small dollar, big impact. All the information will be there, including past winners, so you could see some of those ideas also. So once again, September 20th, Tuesday, is the next application. For next week's show, it's going to be myself and Darren, who also you know as producer Darren. But we're going to talk about all things related to livable communities. We're going to talk about the livable communities here in Wisconsin, what they're doing, some really amazing things that we're working with them regarding walkability and transportation, green space. So we're going to talk about that. We'd love for you to join us to learn not only more about livable communities, but also, is there a livable community are you living in one that you can actually get associated with? So once again, next Thursday, September 15th at noon. So I want to thank everybody so much for joining us. As always, please share this video on your social media or tag somebody in your network that this might be of interest to them. So otherwise, we look forward to seeing you until next Thursday, and until then, be safe.